The MotoGP paddock is not scared of speed. They are scared of the riders who bring a different kind of darkness. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu walks into MotoGP not as a rookie, not as a transfer, not as a curiosity. He enters as a psychological anomaly, forged in a championship where racing never gives you clean air, clean thoughts, or clean victories. WorldSBK is not MotoGP's little cousin. It is the furnace where aggression is currency, bravery is routine, and every lap is a close-quarters knife fight. It is a classroom where the mind is the first tool and the last line of defense. Toprak's mind was built there. His confidence was built there. His identity was built there. MotoGP veterans have mastered finesse, timing, tire discipline, weekend rhythm, and political stability. But Toprak arrives with a mind sharpened by chaos, not comfort. A mindset rooted in confrontation, not calculation. And that is why the grid whispers at night. The question is no longer whether Toprak is fast enough. It is whether his psychological steel can fracture the veteran hierarchy that has survived Márquez, Ducati warfare, mental collapse, and championship trauma. Or will MotoGP break him the way it has broken so many before? There are paddock arrivals that feel ceremonial. Then there are arrivals that feel like someone opened the wrong door. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu stepping into MotoGP is the second type. The Valencia test was not meant to be a storm. It was scripted to be a polite handshake between championships, a gentle introduction to Michelin reality, a textbook adaptation. Instead, the paddock's atmosphere shifted the moment he rolled out of pit lane. Not because of his lap time, not because of his position, but because of the way he carried himself. Most rookies peak at sector times. Toprak stared at riders. Most rookies analyze throttle maps. Toprak analyzed weaknesses. Most rookies fear the unknown. Toprak looked bored. He was not interested in playing the MotoGP etiquette game. His entire career had been spent surrounded by rivals who wanted to take his head off on every lap. He didn't fear the pace. He didn't fear the bike. He didn't fear the names around him. Coming from WSBK meant coming from a league where hiding is impossible. Even the slow laps are fights. Even the warm-up laps have elbows. And every MotoGP veteran watching him understood what they were seeing. This was not a man arriving to learn. This was a man arriving to challenge. Toprak's riding style already makes engineers sweat. His braking markers defy logic. His body position redefines leverage. His stop-and-go approach is a biomechanical rebellion. But that is only the outer storm. The inner storm is worse. The mental game. WorldSBK taught him to survive championships not through speed, but through confrontation. Every race was a last-lap brawl with Jonathan Rie, one of the greatest psychological fighters in racing history. Every victory against Bautista required ignoring a 15 to 20 km/h speed deficit and refusing to surrender. Every season demanded withstanding the constant pressure of triple race weekends, sprint-length dogfights, and emotional exhaustion disguised as competition. MotoGP riders know violence. Toprak knows persistence, and that is far more dangerous. MotoGP's psychological war is built on reputation. You don't challenge Marc Márquez on instinct alone. You don't rattle Pecco Bagnaia unless you break his rhythm. You don't unsettle Quartararo unless you understand Yamaha's emotional scars. You don't pressure Jorge Martin unless you attack the corners he guards like territory. But Toprak's mind was built in a world where no rider is guarded by reputation. You beat them or they beat you. There is no myth management. There is only combat. That's why the veterans feel something unsettling. He is not entering the sport to blend. He is entering to take space. MotoGP has seen phenoms collapse under pressure. It has seen champions crumble under expectation. It has seen rookies destroyed before their first season ends. But it has never seen a mentality like this. Toprak is not scared. Toprak is not cautious. Toprak is not respectful in the traditional MotoGP sense. He arrives with the certainty of a fighter who has been hit harder than anything MotoGP can throw. He arrives with the memory of every last-lap duel he won through pure defiance. He arrives with the emotional immunity of a champion who learned to thrive in chaos, not order. And the question therefore begins to rise. Is MotoGP about to receive a disruptor or a detonator? Who carries destiny into the grid and who carries doubt? Comment below. Toprak's arrival forces MotoGP to confront a truth it avoids. Championships are won in the mind before they are won on track. The veterans have built their empires on mental discipline. Bagnaia built 2 titles on silence, a monk-like emotional posture. Quartararo built his early success on clarity, a clean psychological rhythm. Binder built his reputation on composure, chaos without panic. Martin built his threat on self-belief, extreme confidence bordering madness. Márquez built his dynasty on mental violence, intimidation layered inside brilliance. But none of them built their careers in the psychological environment Toprak came from. Toprak spent years wrestling Jonathan Rea, the most consistent psychological force in motorcycle racing. Rea was not fast because of speed. He was fast because of relentlessness. He was a surgeon of pressure. He was a master of forcing rivals to break before he did. And Toprak survived him. Toprak beat him. Toprak ended the Rea dynasty. That victory alone gives him a psychological profile. MotoGP has never seen Enter as a rookie, but now he faces a new world, a longer season, a more politically charged paddock, a tire ecosystem built on sensitivity, not aggression, engineering feedback loops that punish instinct, race weekends where adaptation matters more than courage. MotoGP is not WSBK. MotoGP is psychological chess disguised as speed. Toprak's aggression is his greatest weapon and his greatest risk. This is why Jack Miller, a man who has survived 20 different teammates and personalities across MotoGP, immediately saw Toprak's threat. Miller didn't talk about Toprak's braking. He talked about his mind, about his attitude, about his readiness to adapt. And adaptation is the real question. MotoGP is built on micro adjustments no WSBK rider has ever faced. Michelin's narrow operating window, rear tire thermal thresholds, aero-linked braking stability, ECU intervention timing, whole shot device behavior over race distance, front tire carcass deformation under lean. Toprak must absorb all of this without letting it erode his identity. If his aggression stays wild, he will burn the tires and burn his confidence. If he dulls his aggression too much, he will lose the weapon that defines him. He must walk the tightrope with no safety net. The first cracks don't appear in races. They appear in the quiet moments. In the debrief when the engineer says, "You must change your style." In the warm-up lap when the rear tire refuses to bite. In FP4 when experienced riders block you just to assert dominance. In Q1 when a tenth feels like an ocean. In T3 when Marc Márquez slices inside without hesitation. In lap 14 when tire drop punishes every previous act of bravery. This is where MotoGP breaks rookies. It broke Rins at times. It broke Morbidelli for entire seasons. It broke Quartararo's soul for 2 years. It broke Martin mentally in 2023. It broke Vinales multiple times. It broke Dovi after 2019. If it can break world champions, it can break anyone. Toprak's problem is not speed. It is timing. MotoGP is precision warfare. Push too early and the rear dies. Push too late and the pack escapes. Fight too often and tire temperature skyrockets. Fight too little and rhythm dissolves. His stop-and-go style stresses the front under Michelin load. His braking violence overheats the rear. His body leverage increases aero drag. His corner entry aggression destabilizes mid-corner line. This is not opinion. This is physics. And the more the physics push back, the more his mind will be tested. Then comes the second layer, the veterans themselves. Pecco Bagnaia will use rhythm to suffocate him. Binder will use aggression to intimidate him. Quartararo will use corner speed to embarrass him. Bezzecchi will use unpredictability to confuse him. Martin will use pace spikes to punish him. Aldeguer will use youth to pressure him. And Marc Márquez will use psychological warfare to dissect him. No rookie survives all of that without mental collapse. The question becomes, what happens when Toprak meets the inevitable wall? Does he bend? Does he break? Does he transform? Or does the collapse become his evolution? MotoGP history shows one cold pattern. Collapse does not destroy great riders. Collapse reveals them. But Toprak is not like other riders. His collapses have always been precursors to rebirth. When Yamaha told him he lacked top speed, he won with corner entry. When BMW gave him a dead bike, he turned it into a weapon. When Bautista destroyed him on straights, he beat him on braking. When the paddock mocked him for leaving Yamaha in 2022, he won 2 titles. Every downfall became a catalyst. That is the terrifying part. If MotoGP collapses him, it may not end him. It may sharpen him. And sharpened Toprak is a threat the hierarchy is not ready for. Again, a sharpened Toprak is a threat. So the third section ends with the unspoken truth. Is collapse the death of legends? Or the birth of tyrants? Comment below. If he adapts to Michelin, if he withstands Yamaha's limitations, if he embraces race-length discipline, if he absorbs tire behavior like a second language, he becomes a rider capable of violating the hierarchy's stability. If he fails those adaptations, he becomes another cautionary tale buried beneath the Márquez era. But the data, the psychology, the history, and the patterns lean toward one conclusion. MotoGP has never had a rookie with this type of mental steel. And the veterans know it, and they feel it, and they fear it. Toprak doesn't walk into MotoGP like a candidate. He walks in like a threat, and threats change eras. From now, where does this put them? The time will tell us. Comment below. Subscribe for more savage breakdowns.